Good evening and welcome to this post-budget analysis webinar. I'm Deepak Jasani from Retail Research of HDFC Securities, and I have with me Kunal Sanghvi, the CFO of HDFC Securities. Uh, now, Kunal, the budget has been quite good. It has been received well by the market participants, by the economists, by the commentators, and such like. Uh, so now a lot of our participants or viewers are individuals. They are affected by the tax provisions in the budget. So can you summarize as to how an individual will get impacted by the provisions of the budget?
So that's a very interesting question to answer, especially in this budget. More so because there is not a major change in the individual taxation per se, and I think so a lot has been kept intact from a corporate tax, except for the fact that the TDS on dividends has been done away with. So there will be some cheer that the dividends that everyone gets will not necessarily be taxed beforehand. However, there is a lot of indirect benefits that budget has tried to highlight from an individual lifestyle perspective and the long-term impact perspective, wherein a lot of infrastructure, banking, and other fields has been seen a larger allocation, which will indirectly impact the overall consumer spending. So overall, the budget has been good and well received, and this is where I see from an individual standpoint as well.
So now, for an individual salary earner, I think there is not major change in terms of his net post-tax income, is it?
So, what has happened is, except for the change that the gig workers will also have a social and other benefits have been extended, I don't think so. There has been much of a change because a lot has been already done last year. So, from an individual perspective, there is no direct change. However, if you talk from an investor's perspective, because a lot of salaried people are also investors in the equity market,
Yeah, sure.
and that's a larger pool. Good number of investors will also try and see how their overall earnings are appreciating and whether it is going in the right direction. From an overall perspective, I believe this budget has depth in terms of what to do exactly, and that's where it may not necessarily sound doing too much, but whatever has been done has been very well laser focused in terms of what is required.
Sure. Okay. Uh,
So tell me also something about you. Have been seeing a lot of excitement without any major changes around taxation. Why are markets so excited?
Yeah. So markets, incidentally, I think Sensex has the best budget day performance since 1997. Uh, so the way the markets have reacted has been phenomenal. Now, why they have been so excited? Basically, there are a lot of fears about negatives coming out in the budget in terms of new levy of cess or surcharge or whatever else. Of course, there has been a small levy of agriculture infrastructure cess, but that is it doesn't impact the consumer because it is just a rejuggling or a reshuffling of the cess. Uh, the customs duty has been reduced and the cess has been levied. So on auto fuels, your net cost will remain the same. So apart from this, no new cess or surcharge or tax rates have been hiked. So that negative, the fear which was there has not come in. So which is good. It's sort of a relief reaction. So that is one. Secondly, some of the expected positives have also come. Now, for example, people were expecting a bad bank to be formed. Then they were also expecting a DFI to be formed, Development Financial Institution. So those things have come. Uh, the proposals of spending on various social sector initiatives, they have also been welcomed quite well. So overall, I think the budget has been quite prudent, well focused, and expansionary. So a lot of money will be spent, printed and spent by the government on various schemes, and that can sort of create some sort of a virtuous cycle of spending and economic growth. So that is net net. I think that has excited the street, the markets, uh, and the way markets have behaved. So that, in a nutshell, I think covers why the markets got so excited.
So demand generation is what you are telling is something that is done. In fact, I can also see one of the key things that you touched upon is creation of DFI and the bad bank. I believe it is proactive, good measure. We should not wait for again defaults to see, and that will give a lot of cushion in terms of credit defaults. And that cushion essentially is going to give a lot of investors a shift to also other than AAA rated funds as well, more so on the debt sides. So that is where investors will see a lot of tractions as well. And the spread over there, which is widened because of the polarization in AAA, will also shift little bit to the other funds as well. I see as a banks, the reliance will overall increase, and that is something very important. Which other sectors do you see, and which other larger impact do you see from a current budget perspective?
Yeah, so now let me discuss what is good in the budget and what is not so good. Now, broadly, I think we discussed the expected negatives are not coming, and some of the positives which were expected have come in. The budget has been quite focused, prudent. The spending targets in terms of health, Make in India initiatives, infrastructure, roads, highways, ports, etc., have been increased to quite an extent. The government has tried to tackle the funding challenges by proposing the setting up of a DFI. Now, NABFID is what it's called, National Bank for Funding Infrastructure. Now, that bank will also do asset monetization across the government properties and across government companies. So, they will raise funds from there and use it to fund the infrastructure. Funding infrastructure has always been a pain point or a problem. So the government is trying to tackle that kind of problem by setting up this DFI. As far as power distribution is concerned, over the last 5 odd years, government has introduced a lot of reform measures. Some of it has succeeded, some of it has not so succeeded, because ultimately states are the one who implement those power reforms. And because of populism, because of recurring elections which keep coming up and again and again, those are not implemented the way they should be. So now government has proposed opening of distribution to competition. So rather than having just one distribution company in a particular area, you will have two, at least two of them. So that will give some choice to the consumer to shift to a more efficient, a more cheaper distribution company, and indirectly create pressure on the other company to be more efficient and plug the losses. It is also this scheme of the spending on power distribution is now linked to result based and reform oriented states. Only those states will get the spending in the power distribution. So some sort of a carrot and stick approach has been adopted. Now, uh, because it is a concurrent issue, there will still be practical difficulties, but we hope that we are learning from our past mistakes, and probably this will be much better going forward. Now, FDI limits have been raised in insurance from 49 to 74. That is also welcome. So we'll get some more fresh FDI and FPI inflows. Capex spending by government has risen by almost 35%. So again, that will create some good uh, virtuous cycle of spending. Capex spending is more important than the normal spending. Bad bank has been proposed to be set up, so that will again take over all the bad debts of the mainly the PSU banks. Try to recover money from there and fund them, so their capitalization requirement will come down, and they will be more vibrant. They will start lending again. Uh, One key thing in this budget is that government has talked about privatization. So far, they were talking about divestment. So there's a subtle difference between the two, but there's a very big difference. So now they are planning to privatize two PSU banks and one insurance company, in addition to IDBI Bank. And the existing proposal of this 5-7 PSUs, including Air India, BPCL, Concor, BML, etc., they will be carried forward and hopefully completed in the next fiscal. So this, if government succeeds in this, then this is going to be a big game changer for the macros as well as the markets. So broadly, these are the good points. The not so good points are basically related to the fiscal situation. The fiscal deficit targets have been quite are high at 6.8% for the next year, and they are not going to come down drastically. They will come down only to 4.5% by 20 FY26. We were targeting earlier 3% as per the FRBM Act, and that has now, I think, that will not be achieved in the near future at all. So how the global financial institutions and rating agencies will consider this is a question mark. uh, Immediately they may not react negatively because all the countries are in a similar soup. But if we have uh, a couple of more negatives going forward, as and when we have, then probably their reaction will be very crucial to interpret. Now, tell me, Kunal, banking sector, do you foresee any other changes in terms of interest rate trajectory or in terms of their credit growth growing due to these provisions?
See, definitely, I think so. Credit offtake is going to increase for sure, given the fact that people will have a larger reliance on banks because of a lot of such vehicles that are formed around this to try and take care of their credit defaults. So the reliance is going to increase, which is going to pump even more money into the system. And so this sector is definitely going to benefit more. Also, what is going to happen is there will be larger number of money in the overall ecosystem. With a larger number of money, you will always see the inflation rising. So overall, we will see a larger uptick in the overall pricing. But we see our overall economy is also growing. We already inched to $2.7 trillion, and we are inching even higher. So I believe from that perspective, overall sector as well is growing and it will continue to grow. The interesting thing, if you talk of interest rates, is going to be benefited in manufacturing because manufacturing is the one which gets impacted largely because of interest rates. That coupled with today's announcement of customs duty, it makes it a very interesting play for all manufacturing firms because the intent per se of government is very clearly seen wherein there are a lot of countervailing duties and basic customs duties getting increased to support the manufacturing sector for Make in India, and lot of import substitution will happen. So I believe that sector is going to really see a lot of traction around that. With that, also one more thing that if we notice, which has happened certainly, the commodity regulations that are in India uh, is going to probably see a major boost because SCRA regulations and lot of other regulations that are there may essentially now get converged into a single securities market code. That single regulation will bring a lot of consistency and will increase the reforms because a lot of times what used to happen is the regulations would change into only one or two acts and there is no corresponding change in other acts, which essentially was equivalent to as if there is no change. And it would take years to probably get aligned on that. Now with the single securities market code, I think so that's going to make a major difference from an investor and also for the commodities market. So I see there has been a lot of depth in what government has actually done, and from there on, it is something way more realistic, way more from the ground level inputs, and I would say government has actually heard the overall community and taken in the feedback, which is going to be really, really a big welcome, and we are already witnessing that welcome in the form of markets reacting so positively. So I believe that's the larger take on the overall thing from banking to manufacturing and also the capital goods and textile industry, which may end up benefiting around it.
And securities market code will also, I think, result in the conflicting regulatory views getting sort of merged or synergized, I suppose, is it?
Yeah, that's correct. So I think so it's a natural transition also wherein now we have a unified regulator in the form of SEBI, and then obviously more and more securities market becoming perfect will try and get a larger traction in the overall scheme of things.
Hmm.
So So any specific thoughts around sectors within this companies within these lines which would directly benefit or probably reserve and how investors should take it?
Yeah, so basically, if we go through the gainers today, it is clear that banks has been a big gainer. Apart from banks, I think infra, material and metal stocks. Now they have also done quite well. So the street believes that one for banks there is a lot of changes, especially in the PSU side. If the government is will work towards privatizing to PSU banks, it will mean that there will be a lot of changes in the way they operate. They will be, and that will create some sort of an efficiency percolating throughout the PSU space. So banks will do well. Now the only issue is if interest rates rise, then they may be slightly negatively impacted for the time being. So we hope that that doesn't last for long. Uh, Infrastructure, of course, a lot of spending is uh, envisaged in the infra space. So companies like Larsen and Toubro are beneficiaries of that kind of a spend. They could be materials and cement, all the cement and steel players, because of the trickle down effect. So they will also benefit. Healthcare, may there will be spent, so maybe hospital companies, those who are in the primary and tertiary care, they can do well. Uh, and power distribution, may whatever is in terms of smart meters or in terms of transmission sector overhaul, so those type of companies will benefit. So broadly, these are the sectors which can benefit. But of course, once the consumer and capex spending happens, I think the entire uh, cyclical space will do well. The defensives, they are not impacted much. IT, there is no major change. Pharma, there is a little change. FMCG, if consumer spending increases, they will also benefit. But the cyclical part will do better in case the implementation of these proposals is done well.
So you believe that the market should actually be very good from here on, considering the way in which budgets have been rolled out and well accepted. And how about foreign inflows as well?
Yeah, so that is the only question mark as to how the foreigners uh, take it uh, on the basis of this fiscal deficit. You mentioned, we talked about that. So if they are comfortable with that kind of a situation, then they will keep pumping money as long as the interest rates globally are low and monetary stimulus continues in the markets abroad. If there is a reversal there, then of course we will also face the consequences of that. So as long as the foreigners are happy with the fiscal deficit numbers, etc., I don't think we may see a large reversal, and the upward trend can continue with some intermittent corrections.
No, I agree. In fact, kind of tend to agree. This is a good foundation that is getting laid for a long-term transformation, and I believe it is also a way more realistic budget
Hmm.
with the way in which it is done, and hopefully should see a much more welcome from larger institutions as well and
Correct.
foreign players.
One good thing is that this government throughout has been very prudent and they have stayed away from populism. So that is something which excites or which appeals to a lot of people, especially the people with deep pockets.
Hmm.
So, and they have not sort of goofed up majorly in any of the issues or any of the sectors. So let us be hopeful. India has a good potential. Uh, Anyway, we are headed higher only as long as the demographic dividend is enjoyed in the positive manner. Okay, now do we have any questions? Yeah, let me check whether we have any questions from the participants. Yeah, why IT and pharma sectors are down? Now, As IT, I don't think there is any specific provision in the budget, either positive or negative. So typically what happens is people take profits in such sectors and rotate that money into happening sectors. So happening sectors today are banks, infrastructure, metals, materials. So they sell IT. Pharma again, no immediate benefit. So IT and pharma came under some small selling pressure, and the money was diverted to the happening sector. So this is temporary. This can get reversed soon. So there's nothing to worry on that count.
But I think so there's a shift, as you rightly said,
Huh.
that is more evident because one would start allocating money
More
to
of
the
those cyclicals.
areas where they see a larger scope in
Correct.
terms of where's the upbeat in terms of the budget. But I also tend to feel that the government has kind of kept aside digitization and technology, which should also receive a larger focus. And I believe it's a kind of a long-term infrastructure that they should do, but not necessarily in this budget.
Sure. The next question is next year 9.25 crore net borrowing, will it impact rates adversely? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. The borrowing essentially is going to impact, but there is a larger focus also to maintain a lower interest rate. And I believe this government has been trying this since start. So while a government borrowing is one thing, what is it going to do is it is going to pump in a lot of money in the economy, and that's going to create some amount of inflation. So there's going to be some upbeat, but like we see dollar also getting packed and RBI having a good intervention on a regular basis, we will see that the interest rates are also not necessarily going to run up because I believe this government has done a concentrated effort since the start to keep it lower so that manufacturing and industries do benefit.
Yeah, today, of course, there was a immediate reaction of the bond yields. So 11, 12 basis points they rose, the 10-year.
Yes.
But there is an immediate knee-jerk reaction. Probably it will stabilize again. And hopefully, unless the inflation starts running out of control, I think interest rates may not rise majorly from here.
Yeah. But also, what is going to happen is there will be a lot of new players with the kind of excitement that has got created. So that will do also impact in terms of the overall dynamics, and we will have to see how that also shapes up.
Sure. Now, what would be the impact on debt funds from investors' point of view? So again, if interest rates remain higher, then probably debt funds will not yield you good money, good returns, because prices are inversely proportional to yields. So if yields are higher, then prices will be down, and you may not get good returns. But if after this rise they again start to fall, then debt funds will continue to give you your 5, 6, 7, 8% return depending on what kind of.
Correct. So that will be an adjustment, probably very immediate. And once that adjustment happens, we will see a readjustment of NAVs to actually reflect the impact that you said.
Correct.
However, for the long term, if overall the rates inflation is higher, then it will give a little higher return than what it is giving today on a perpetual basis afterwards. But the immediate adjustment will be definitely the way in which you highlighted.
Yeah, one more question is any change in LTCG and STCG tax? I don't think there was any change there in long term capital gains or short term capital gains. People were expecting some change. There is a perennial expectation that long term capital gains tax will be zero tax, and there will be that 10% tax will be reversed, but that is not going to happen because whatever steps the government has taken in the past, they may not reverse it so easily. Unless there is a very compelling reason to do that. And there was also an expectation that XTT will be allowed as a set off against the long term capital or short term capital gains tax. That has not come in. So that is a minor disappointment, but that is fine. We can learn to live with it. Then, do you feel markets are overvalued? P ratios are high and COVID-19 is still existent. Now, overvaluation of markets, people were feeling markets are overvalued 3 months back, 4 months back also. You cannot fight against fund flows. That is one thing that we keep learning from day to day. So, you cannot fight liquidity. So as long as the liquidity globally is strong, uh, the P's will keep expanding. Now P is always is you have to look at it from compared to the interest rates. If interest rates continue to remain low, P's will keep expanding. How long this will continue, nobody knows, frankly. Uh, so as long as the interest rates are remain subdued, markets will not look overvalued. They may be fairly valued, but they may not be overvalued.
But also, don't you think so? The current reflection of P
Hmm.
is on a year which has had a pandemic. So it's not a right number to look at. Should one not look at forward P's or a year back P to kind of reflect the right number? So there may be some adjustments to this overvaluation which will also moderate it to a certain extent. So that is also something. But also it's a reflection of how sentiment is seen for the future as well.
Yeah, the expectation of earnings growth going forward.
Yes, exactly.
What's in it for pharma sector? Anything in particular? I think that healthcare spend is one thing for the pharma sector. Apart from that, the sector was expecting some R&D deduction, higher deduction instead of 100%, 150 or 200%, which has not come. But that expectation was also a little very optimistic. So nothing negative about that. Apart from that, I think nothing has come which impact the pharma sector. What is the impact on NRI? Uh, I think procedurally there one or two things have come in, right?
Yeah. Nothing as such major from the perspective overall, except for the fact that there is one change that NRIs can also have a single person company if they stay for 120 days rather than actually waiting for 180 days. So that's a one change that the company creation and the entry into India is made even more easier, but nothing else, I believe.
To boost, I think startups basically.
Yeah. To
So,
boost startups. That's correct.
Single person startups basically. What is the impact on senior citizens above 70 years? Above 75 years, there is some provision about no need to file returns, right?
Yeah, if they fall in a particular income slab, which is more like debt, etc.,
Pension and interest.
then they are not required to file returns. So it becomes procedurally easy from there. In fact, I saw some enabling provisions from a technology perspective as well, wherein LTCG may be auto-computed on the returns, etc. So I believe there is a few things happening on procedurally there as well.
Yeah.